Give me a Luke Prokop scouting report. What part of your game do you like, and what part are you still working on?
Oh God, the scouting report. I'd say I'm a solid two-way defenseman. I really good at breakout passes and breaking the puck in my own zone, transitioning the puck, getting it to the forwards, getting my shots through, providing secondary offense. Again, the part of my game that I'm still getting used to and trying to grow in is just being able to use my size a little bit more, being a little bit more physical and stopping plays down low.
I read your coach said something interesting was he wants you to be comfortable making a mistake, but that's got to be a little bit of a hard thing to internalize.
Yeah, I've always kind of viewed myself as a bit of a perfectionist, not wanting to make mistakes, but that's ultimately how you grow in any career path. One thing that I think I sort of struggled with this year especially was because I wasn't playing the whole time. Yeah. I wasn't in the lineup every other game, so I was scared to make a mistake because I was just trying to survive. I was just trying to make the lineup every game because I knew if I was going to make a mistake, I would be out. But at the same time, if you're just playing safe all the time and you're not really contributing to the game or trying to make a difference in the game, then you're also you're probably going to get taken out of the lineup. So it was a fine line and a fine balance, and I think I did a better job of that towards the end of the season and probably played some of my best hockey then.
Tell me about scoring your first AHL goal.
Yeah, it's a really cool moment actually. It was our Father's weekend in Milwaukee, so my dad was in town. He had never seen any of my professional goals before, and it was we had 2 home games against the Charlotte Checkers. And we just kind of talked about it at dinner because I knew I was going to play the second game. My coach came and told me that, and me and my dad were just kind of talking about, my dad always likes to give me little tidbits and trying to pump me up a little bit. And we went over that through dinner, and then I felt really good in the game, and I think it was kind of later on in the first period. Just saw an opportunity to jump up in the rush. And it was just a little pass off the pad and just kind of snuck it in there. And pretty cool that it was against a goalie that played in the NHL for the last few years. And I kind of blacked out after I scored it, but it was a really cool moment, and really cool that my dad was able to see that as well.
Did you keep the puck?
Of course, yeah. Of course, I kept the puck. Yeah.
I read that you treated practice like games because you were in 31 games. Last season. That takes a lot of mental toughness, though, doesn't it, when you're not in there all the time?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've never been used to before. Everywhere I've gone, whether it was growing up in minor hockey, junior hockey, playing for Team Alberta, playing for Team Canada, my first year pro, I was always playing a ton of minutes, always playing every single game. I didn't even have to think about it, going to the rink. I knew I was going to be in the lineup. So having that mindset of just being able to, okay, what can I do in practice to kind of show the coaches, that I'm improving on these areas, and being really detailed in them. What do they want to see out of me more in games so that I can implement that in practice and continue to show them. So again, it was just, asking a lot of information. Why am I not in the lineup? What do you need to see out of me more? And then taking that information and applying it into practice, because that's ultimately where I was going to get my game time from, was for the coaches to see that I was taking what their criticism and their advice and putting it to use.
So you'll be at the Predators training camp, I imagine, this season. Is that your expectation?
Well, it's a little uncertain right now because my contract is up. I'm a restricted free agent, so we'll see come July 1st. It's not up to me. It's in Nashville's hands if they want to qualify me or not, and that's just kind of a to be determined thing at this point right now.
Aside from rooting for you to make the NHL, I'm rooting for you not to have first openly gay player in front of your name. Not as much as you are, but I'm rooting for that. But since we're not at that day, the times I've talked to you previously, you mentioned that by and large you found that teammates care whether you can help them win and not about anything else. And I hope that's still the case.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's been interesting because I've been on a bunch of different teams. I've been on 5 teams in the last 5 years. So, meeting a lot of new teammates, and it's always, kind of nerve-wracking going into those situations, but just trying to keep an open mind, and being myself, because I think I've grown up in the game of hockey. I'm a hockey guy. We have our little stupid lingo that we use, and I use it too. So I just, I think some people might have, these misconceptions about me if they had never met me before or played with me before, but I'm just, a regular guy in the locker room and trying to go about our same business and going out and winning games and joking around at practice, having fun. So yeah, it's been really good. My teammates have been super supportive over the last 4 years. So really happy with how that's been going.
Unfortunately, it seems like the discrimination, the bigotry, the bullying is almost worse with the young kids playing than with the professionals playing. So I'm sure you talk to younger people. Can you tell me some of what you tell them to keep them motivated and keep them going?
Yeah, it's always difficult. I mean, for me personally, I never experienced that. Obviously I might have heard stuff growing up, but I wasn't out when I was, at a young age. I came out when I was 18, so it's hard. You just try to, keep encouraging them. If it's to continue their studies, if it's to continue in their sport, whatever it may be, find a good support system. Surround yourself with friends that really, like you for you and want you to succeed. But it's tough because there's, not everyone has that. So again, for me, in my position, just being able to be there and listen to them if they need to talk, and if they want advice, try to help them in any which way I can.
You were talking to your defense partner, Amy, and I was wondering, when you're on the bench talking to her, what are you talking about?
There's little tidbits here and there, like they ask me, like, what do I do in this certain situation? Like they're trying to learn as much as I'm trying to learn as a professional, and some of them have just started to play hockey, so they're asking for advice, or we're just going over like stuff that we just had a shift in the ozone and talking about little plays and stuff like that, and I get a lot of, I wasn't expecting like the puck to be on my stick that quickly, and you always pass it on the tape, and they're not used to that sort of stuff. So it's just fun little interactions that I get to do on the bench with them, and trying to keep it light, keep it fun, and because sometimes I think that I can maybe be a little bit intimidating just with being a professional athlete and coming out. So just trying to make it more of an open conversation with everyone here.
And let's close with this. You played in this tournament for several years now. Tell me why it was important for you to come back again this year.
Yeah, I think it's a funny story, and I've been kind of telling a few people here over the weekend. Is my first year when I was playing for the Thunderbirds, the organizers of the committee, Joey and Steven, they came to games all the time, and I was injured for a little bit, and I met up with them and just had a conversation with them, and they mentioned that they had this tournament. They had it the year prior, and they're having it again this upcoming June, and this was in maybe November, and I was like, yeah, sure, like I'd love to come, not really sure how the season was going to turn out. We ended up going all the way to the Memorial Cup final, so it was a really long season for me. And all I wanted to do after that season was to go home, not see any of my teammates, go hang out with my friends, go hang out with my family. And I remember I was packing up my car, and I got a text from Stevens like, "Hey, are you still good to play in the tournament this next weekend?" I'm like, "Oh, yes, I will. I'll do it." So not that I was disappointed to come and play in it, but I wanted to get home really badly. And so I came in here, and I had an absolute awesome time. Just being in a space where I feel totally comfortable with who I am, and being surrounded with so much support, and it was really cool to see everyone's faces when I was playing in the games with them, and if I gave them a pass and they scored, or sometimes I would deke them, and that's all they talk about. So it was really cool, and now I've established connections and friendships with Joey and Steven and Justin and Nora and everyone that kind of puts this tournament together. So it's always just a good time of year to come down here and just enjoy the community, enjoy our space, playing the game we love, and again coming out and making sure that everyone here is having a fun time. Giving them maybe something to remember me by for the next season, next tournament.
Thank you so much, Luke.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it.